Hello, grade 6. How are you? I hope you're good. Grade 6 boys and girls, I've sent you a worksheet with the information on cell cycle. I'm just going to give you a brief explanation, then you're going to do the activity, then we start from there. I wanted to start with something that is a bit familiar. Then we move on to cancers and prevention, treatment. Then from there we look at a new topic as I promised you. So this is more like a recap. So it's going to be quick, and then you get to work. All right. So we are looking at cell cycle. There are two types of cell cycles. The one that you guys have to do this year is called mitosis. All right. Mitosis is a type of cell division for body cells, which allows, number one, growth of an organism. Yeah. So I think by the time I see you guys, some of you will be a bit bigger than you were last term, simply because there's growth taking place. Your cells are copying themselves, they are dividing, all right? And growth is a normal process of any living organism, all right? And this mitosis also enables other organisms like bacteria to reproduce themselves. So they increase in number. The population size of bacteria increases. So I just want to do a recap on the stages of cell division. The first stage is interphase. During interphase, the cell grows, it becomes bigger. So the cell grows and the DNA duplicate. What is to duplicate is to make double. So you've got one set of DNA in each cell. All right? You inherited DNA from both your parents, so you've got one DNA in each cell. Right? DNA is like a long chain, so you end up having two of them before division, so that each new cell will be having the DNA. And the DNA is the one which carries instruction about a person or an organism, the one that has identity. All right. Then after interphase, we have prophase. During prophase, the nuclear membrane disappears. Remember when we looked at the cell structure, we did mention that the nucleus is found inside a nucleus. So during prophase, the nuclear membrane disappears. This is to prepare for the division to take place. And also, the DNA, the chromosomes that are in the DNA become more visible. Then the next stage is metaphase. During metaphase, the chromosomes line up at the center of the cell, at the middle of the cell. They line up nicely, but in a very random way. All right. Then the next stage is anaphase. All right. During anaphase, those chromosomes are pulled to each end of the cell, and once they are at each end of the cell, the cytoplasm shrinks, bends in, like, okay, literally like this. It's big, so it shrinks in at the center, such that at this end we have that DNA which is there, and on the other end we've got DNA which is there, so it shrinks. And the last stage is cytokinesis when the cell splits in two. So those are the stages of mitosis or cell division: interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and cytokinesis. You can refer to the diagram in your books on page 33 for those stages. All right. So on the worksheet that I gave you, I want what happens there must be very brief. Please, boys and girls, don't start to rewrite the book. I want summary and show me that you have understood. Get straight to the point. Just state what is happening in point form. All right, so that you fill in that table. And then I also gave you another worksheet which has the stages all randomly. What I want you to do is you are going to rewrite them. Don't draw anything like redrawing the cell with the chromosomes and all that. What you're just gonna do is to identify the first stage, where you say stage 1, then you name the stage, then you draw an arrow. Stage 2, you name the stage, draw an arrow. Stage 3, you name until you are done, and then you must come back. When you are done with the last stage, it must point back to 1, meaning that the cell, it's a cycle, it goes on and on and on for the rest of your life. Yeah, until an organism ceases to survive. So that's why it's a cycle. That cycle goes on and on and on and on. Thank you so much for watching. And we now want to look at cancer. What happens, what causes a cancer, or what, to start with, what is a cancer? A cancer is cell division that goes wrong. It's a genetic change that takes place during cell division. So cancer is a change in the genetic makeup during cell division. So a lot of things can trigger that. Things like radiation. It can be radiation from the sun. Too much exposure to the sun can cause damage on the DNA of the skin. That's why you need to put sunblock before you go out. And exposure to particles as well, like when a person is smoking. And what happens is that the moment they smoke, they continue smoking. Remember the other devotion that we had in the hall where the pastor was talking about the hubbly bubbly. So whatever means that this person is taking in the cigarette, those tobacco particles will break up into tiny pieces that are called nicotine and tar once they are burned. And when they get into the lungs, those particles, they trigger cancer of the lungs to take place. Unfortunately, cancer of the lungs also affects even a non-smoker if they are exposed to people that are smoking all the time. Alright, so that's too much exposure to cigarette, whether directly or indirectly. So we've got what we call a passive smoker and an active smoker. A passive smoker is that innocent child who is sitting next to an adult who is smoking, and the child is not smoking, but they end up breathing in the air that has those particles, and it affects their lungs and causes lung cancer. All right, and then the names of the cancers, they are named after the organ which is affected. So if this genetic disturbance occurs in the lungs, and it becomes a lung cancer. So what happens is that when a cancer is happening during cell cycle, that organism starts to divide, and there's no longer control, because remember, the DNA is the one that controls everything in our body, which is found in the nucleus. So when the DNA loses control, these cells divide randomly and very fast, and as the division is taking place, useless cells will be formed. In other words, the cells that are formed will not be able to function as the previous ones. So if it's the lungs, the new cells will not be able to help with the breathing in and the breathing out. If it's the brain cells, the new damaged cells will not be able to think and to do all the functions of the brain, etc., etc. So another evident presence of a cancer in a body is the growth, which are called tumors, the growth of that affected organ. People start to have a lump or a growth in the affected part. So, as I said, there are different types of cancers. If it affects the brain, it's a brain cancer. If it affects the esophagus or the tongue, for smokers, it's a tongue cancer or an esophagus cancer. If it affects the lungs, it's the lung cancer. If it affects the breast, it's the breast cancer. If it affects the stomach, it's stomach cancer. So the cancer is named after the organ which has the cancer. And cancer can develop in any part of the body from head to toe. And so besides exposure to radiation, to particles like smoking, also there are some harmful chemicals that might be released from the industries, but fortunately different countries have got different regulations to limit those discharges, such that they are kept at very minimum level, and they become less toxic. And also if you look at Europe, most European countries, they do not produce their electricity using coal like us in Africa. They use uranium, which is more powerful than coal. And the other thing about that type of the byproducts of the uranium is that burns, is that it can also trigger cancers. All right, it's called nuclear power. So use of nuclear power causes cancer. All right. Then different chemicals like some inks. Okay, let's say you want to have fun on a specific day and you want to do face painting. Okay, face painting is not bad. Most of the paints that are used for the face are meant for the face, meaning that they are from plants. They are dyes from plants. But if you now take the paint for the walls and then you paint your face, you can end up harming yourself. And the last cause of cancer can be genetic. So cancer can also run in the family. It can be passed on from parents to offspring. The good news is that there are ways to prevent cancer. So before we can treat something, we need to prevent it. And prevention, in case of genetics, like we said, is something that runs in the family. There are some people that are called genetic counselors that can analyze the chances of a child before the child is born to inherit cancers from their parents, right? Such that if the chances are very high, then it's recommended that that specific couple should not have a child. They can adopt. And then the other causes you saw that it was exposure to smoking, exposure to sunlight, exposure to chemicals, exposure to waste. So it's just prevention, that exposure. Apply sunblock. Use a wide rimmed hat when you're going out. Wear your sunglasses, etc., etc. And then you'll be safe from skin cancer or the other forms of cancer. And also eat healthy. Eat healthy. I know that you guys don't like to eat your fruits and your veggies, but those fruits and veggies have nutrients which help your body to remove, get rid of the harmful things that might be in the body. So these are things, remember, it's not just being exposed to something harmful once, then the next day you have cancer. It's frequent exposure over and over and over and over. It can be in the water, in the what, and it ends up in your body. Then the harmful substance is no way of leaving your body, stays in your body. So once they get there in the body, they accumulate, they get more and more over time, over a long stretch of time, and then a person gets sick. So when you eat your fruits and your vegetables, they have got what are called antioxidants. These help to remove and get rid of bad particles from our bodies, bad particles which can even trigger different forms of cancers. So enjoy your veggies, just have a different perspective about them and tell yourself that you are eating for your health, and then you'll see that with time you're going to start enjoying having your food with some vegetables on the side, right? Then the treatment of cancer, there are three different types that I'm going to discuss with you. The first one is surgery. Right? Remember I said that it forms a growth on the body. So the first one is surgery. The surgery intention is to remove that growth. Alright? So it's removed so that it does not continue to spread throughout the other body parts, and it's out of the body. The second one is called chemotherapy. The word chemo refers to chemicals, and chemicals are the drugs, medicinal drugs. These are drugs that are recommended by a specialist doctor who deals with cancer, who is called an oncologist, and a person gets onto that treatment and they get checked on how fast the cancer cells are being destroyed, and if the cells are going back to be normal, then they can stop their chemotherapy. All right. So it's always in that sequence. First, you remove, second, chemicals. Then the last one is radiation. Radiation is a very high form of power, which is given by a machine. Those that have broken their bones, you might have seen an X-ray machine. It's almost like that, but that type of radiation has got even more stronger power than an X-ray, in the sense that it destroys all the bad cells, and it's very severe. It's it's a very it's a very painful procedure for a person to go through, because it has got its own side reactions. I won't want to call them side effects, but side reactions, like after effects, reactions that a person goes through after the radiation. But the good news is that a person can go into remission. Remission is when a person who used to have cancer has gone through surgery or chemotherapy or radiation, and after some period of time, they get checked and they find that they are now cancer free. So they stay in that period and they continue to check, just in case there was just some part, tiny part, which was not able to be picked up. And obviously, the last one is we believe in the power of our miracle working God, who is able to heal. And I have had testimonies of people that have prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed until they were healed. Like this other time, I was listening to this other pastor who was once trained as a lawyer, and he said that during that time he had problems with his bones, and when they went to check the bones with an x-ray, they realized that he had a very rare form of cancer of the bones, which makes the bones to start rotting. And they said his body was literally rotting, and he had more than 40 surgeries to get rid of that. But he said he got tired of being taken to surgery in and out. You can imagine going to the surgery 40 times. So he just told the doctor, you know what, just discharge me from hospital. I'm going home. I'm just gonna die, and I'm done with this pain. In any case, the pain is not going away. He said he went home, and his family got together and they started praying. They prayed for months. Then they said when he went back, like 3 years later, he just went because he just wanted to find. He was just curious because he was no longer feeling any pain. They realized that the cancer of the bones was totally gone, and even the doctors up to now are like shocked about it. But we know that God is able to do a lot more than we can ever ask or need from Him. So please take your time as you do that. And I know that I've already given you a task, a research topic on the cancer, so I'm not going to give you another one. This work is for this week. So I'll be coming back on the WhatsApp group to give you the answers. With the answers, write your answers in your box. Those books, the classwork books, don't write on pieces of paper. This is normal schoolwork. And then When I've given you the answer, you're going to mark with a pencil where you got correct, or you're going to put an X and write a correction, and your parent signs it. And next week we should be able to do ecological succession. Alright, that's the end of our lesson. Love you so much. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I miss you.